In a small Los Angeles garage, a kind mechanic builds a custom wheelchair for a young disabled woman, not knowing this act of kindness will change both their lives forever. From struggle to success, from wheels to wings. This is a story of hope, heart, and humanity. Like, share, and subscribe. Now let's get started. Jake wiped his hands on a rag. The scent of motor oil and metal filling the small Los Angeles garage. Sunlight streamed through the dusty windows, illuminating the rows of tools and car parts stacked on shelves. At 32, he had been a mechanic for over a decade, fixing everything from classic Mustangs to modern electric cars. But today, his focus was elsewhere. A soft thud echoed from the front door. Turning, he saw a young woman struggling to push an old wheelchair into the garage. Her face showed determination, mixed with frustration. Something about her presence made Jake stop mid-motion. "Hi, I'm Emily," she said, slightly out of breath, her voice warm but tinged with weariness. I heard you might be able to help me." Jake studied her carefully. She looked to be in her early 20s, slim, with long brown hair pulled into a ponytail. Her legs were fragile under the thin fabric of her jeans, and her wheelchair looked battered and uncomfortable. He noticed the faint scars along her knees and the careful way she shifted her weight. Something inside him stirred. He didn't know this girl, but he wanted to help. "I can take a look," Jake said, stepping closer. "What's going on with your chair?" Emily hesitated, glancing at the garage filled with gleaming engines and half-finished projects. "It's old, broken, hard to maneuver. I can barely get around," she admitted, her hands gripping the wheelchair's armrests tightly. I just want something that works, something I can rely on." Jake nodded, already envisioning solutions. He motioned for her to park it near his workbench. The wheelchair squeaked loudly as it moved, the wheels wobbly and bent. Jake ran his fingers over the metal frame, feeling the rough edges and imagining the stress it caused Emily every day. He fetched a notebook from a nearby shelf and started sketching. As he drew, Emily watched in fascination. Jake explained each adjustment, pointing to reinforced joints, better wheel bearings, and lighter alloys. "If we do this right, you won't just have a chair. You'll have freedom," he said, smiling. Emily's eyes lit up. She had never thought of mobility like that before. Most people had simply pitied her or given her a standard replacement. But Jake was different. He was thinking about speed, comfort, stability, and even aesthetics all at once. The excitement was palpable. Over the next few hours, Jake dismantled the wheelchair piece by piece. He examined each joint, each bolt, noting areas that could be reinforced without adding weight. Emily asked questions, fascinated by his knowledge. Jake explained concepts like torque, suspension, and balance in simple terms. "See, if we adjust the wheel angle here, it'll handle curbs without tipping," he said, demonstrating with a small model. Emily laughed at how technical it sounded, but nodded eagerly. She had never imagined someone could be so meticulous about a wheelchair. To her, it was usually a mundane necessity, but Jake treated it like a masterpiece in the making. By midday, Jake was covered in grease and sweat, but his energy never waned. He sourced lightweight aluminum alloys, replaced worn-out wheels with shock-absorbing rubber, and even designed a custom joystick for maneuverability in tight spaces. Emily helped when she could, holding screws or passing tools. They shared stories in between tasks, Emily about her struggles after the accident, Jake about his years fixing cars and dreaming of creating something truly impactful. Laughter and conversation filled the garage, transforming it from a mechanical workspace into a collaborative, hopeful environment. As the sun dipped lower, the wheelchair started to take shape. Jake added small personal touches, a cushioned seat in Emily's favorite shade of blue, a sleek, streamlined frame, and even reflective decals that sparkled in the light. Emily's excitement grew with each improvement. She tested the movement, gliding across the garage with ease. For the first time in months, she felt in control. This is amazing," she whispered, her voice cracking slightly with emotion. Jake shook his head, trying to downplay it. "You earned it," he said simply. "I just made it possible." By evening, the custom wheelchair was complete. It looked elegant, strong, and surprisingly light. Emily sat in it, her hands gripping the wheels, as she maneuvered effortlessly around the garage. Jake watched silently, pride swelling inside him. This wasn't just about fixing a chair. It was about giving someone a chance to move without pain, to live without constant limitation. He had expected satisfaction from the mechanical challenge, but the emotional reward far surpassed it. Emily's smile, radiant and genuine, said more than words ever could. Before leaving, Emily turned to Jake. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. It's more than just a wheelchair. It's freedom, independence, confidence." Jake shrugged modestly, hiding his own pride. "You'll do fine." "It's built for you," he said, smiling. But deep down, he knew that this moment would stay with him forever, the moment a stranger trusted him enough to let him change her life. As Emily rolled toward the door, her movement smooth and graceful, Jake felt a quiet satisfaction settle over him. For the first time in a long while, his work had meaning beyond cars and engines. The next morning, Emily arrived at Jake's garage again, but this time there was a noticeable difference. Gone were the casual clothes and simple sneakers she had worn yesterday. Instead, she had on a tailored outfit and stylish sunglasses, looking poised and confident as she wheeled herself toward Jake. The new wheelchair gleamed in the sunlight, every detail reflecting the meticulous craftsmanship from the previous day. She tested it gently at first, then gradually pushed harder, letting the wheels glide smoothly over the garage floor. Jake watched, impressed. She maneuvered effortlessly, a stark contrast to the struggles she had faced before. He couldn't help but smile at her joy. Emily laughed softly, spinning in a circle and testing the chair's agility. "Jake, it's perfect. I can't believe how smooth it feels. Even curbs aren't a problem," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You didn't just build a chair, you built a miracle." Jake felt warmth spread through his chest. He had never thought such a simple act of helping someone could bring so much gratitude. Emily's words reminded him why he had become a mechanic in the first place. Not for fame or money, but to solve problems, to make life a little easier for others. After a few more tests, Emily explained her sudden elegance and poise. "I had to leave for a business meeting," she said with a smile, "and my family arranged a private jet to take me there. I wanted to show them I could manage on my own, in style." Jake raised an eyebrow, impressed. The fact that she had come all this way, dressed elegantly, and wanted to demonstrate independence amazed him. He realized that his work wasn't just a mechanical accomplishment. It had given her confidence and a renewed sense of pride. For Emily, mobility wasn't just movement, it was dignity. Jake carefully checked every component of the wheelchair, ensuring it was perfectly balanced and aligned. He adjusted the tension on the wheels and tested the brakes, making sure they were responsive. Emily watched intently, asking questions about each adjustment. "Why does this part make it so much easier to turn?" she asked. Jake explained with patience, using simple examples she could understand. She nodded, fascinated by the mechanics. But more than that, she was grateful for the thoughtfulness. Every detail of the chair was designed to empower her. It wasn't just a tool. It was a statement that she could live freely without compromise. As the afternoon light filtered through the garage, Emily began to practice moving in the wheelchair with increasing speed and precision. She navigated through tight spaces, made sharp turns, and even tested small obstacles Jake had intentionally placed to mimic real-life scenarios. Each success brought a brighter smile to her face. "I feel unstoppable," she said quietly, almost to herself. Jake watched her, his heart swelling with pride. Moments like these reminded him why he worked so hard, sometimes long into the night, fixing engines and now crafting a chair that could truly change a life. Before long, Emily's driver arrived to take her to the airport. She rolled smoothly across the driveway, confident in every movement. Jake accompanied her to the gate of the private jet, where her family awaited. They looked surprised when they saw her maneuvering independently, her wheelchair sleek and polished. Emily beamed at them, demonstrating how easily she could control the chair, even with the jet steps just ahead. Her mother, elegantly dressed, exchanged a glance with Emily's father. Jake felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had helped someone reclaim freedom and independence, and now the results were visible to the world. Emily turned to Jake before stepping onto the plane. "I can't thank you enough," she said sincerely, her hands brushing over the polished frame of the wheelchair. "You've done more than build me a chair. You've built my confidence. I'm going to fly today, not just literally, but in my life. You gave me that." Jake shook his head, trying to hide the lump in his throat. He had never imagined a simple act of craftsmanship could touch someone so deeply. Watching her glide effortlessly toward the jet, he felt a mixture of pride, admiration, and hope for the future. The private jet. Those engines roared as Emily and her family boarded, the sleek aircraft gleaming in the late afternoon sun. Jake lingered in the garage, still holding the memory of her smile. He realized that the chair he had painstakingly built wasn't just a gift for her. It was a symbol of empowerment, resilience, and trust. Emily's independence now extended beyond the garage, beyond the streets of Los Angeles, and into every place she chose to go. Jake understood that this small act of kindness had ripple effects he couldn't yet fully see. But the joy on her face told him all he needed to know. That evening, Jake sat alone in the quiet garage, the hum of the city outside fading into the distance. He reflected on the day, on Emily's transformation, and on the meaning behind his work. For so long, he had repaired cars, hoping to make someone's day a little easier, but this, helping someone regain independence, was something entirely different. It was personal, impactful, and life-changing. Jake realized that talent, compassion, and dedication could create miracles, even in small, overlooked corners of life. Emily's journey had just begun, but he felt honored to have been a part of it. Before leaving, Jake took one last look at the empty driveway and the garage filled with tools and memories of the day. He smiled softly, thinking of Emily soaring above limitations, confident and proud, ready to face the world. The thought lingered. In his mind, sometimes the greatest success isn't measured in money or fame, but in moments of empowerment, freedom, and courage. For Emily, her first independent ride in the custom wheelchair was just the beginning, a launch into life with dignity, confidence, and hope, made possible by a mechanic who believed in doing more than just fixing machines. Weeks passed since Emily's visit to the garage, and Jake had returned to his usual routine, fixing cars and motorcycles in Los Angeles. But something had changed inside him, an unshakable sense of purpose. Then, one morning, an unexpected invitation arrived in the mail. It was embossed with gold lettering and addressed personally to him. Curiosity piqued, Jake opened it. Inside was an invitation to a high-profile rooftop gala downtown, promising recognition for innovation in assistive technology. He blinked in surprise, wondering why a small-time mechanic like him would receive such an honor. Yet as he read on, his heart began to race with excitement. On the evening of the gala, Jake arrived in his usual work clothes, slightly nervous amid elegantly dressed guests. The city's skyline glittered under the night sky, reflecting lights in the harbor below. As he walked through the entrance, he spotted Emily, radiant in a navy blue evening gown, her hair elegantly styled. She rolled toward him, the custom wheelchair gleaming under the ambient lights. "Jake," she said warmly, "I'm so glad you came. I wanted you here for this moment. You deserve it." Jake felt a mix of pride and humility, overwhelmed by the contrast between his usual life and this dazzling scene. Emily guided him through the crowd, introducing him to her family. Her mother, a wealthy philanthropist, shook Jake's hand firmly, her eyes filled with respect. "Jake, your work has changed Emily's life in ways words can't capture," she said. Her father nodded in agreement, smiling warmly. Jake, who was used to grease-stained hands and engine oil, suddenly found himself in a world of champagne flutes and luxury. Yet despite the opulence, he felt a deep connection to the purpose behind it all. The acknowledgement wasn't for fame, but for the impact he had made on someone's life. The ceremony began, and Jake's name was called to the stage. Heart pounding, he walked up to the microphone, the spotlight shining on him. Cameras flashed as the audience applauded. Emily stood beside him, beaming with pride. "Jake didn't just design a wheelchair," she said, her voice steady and confident. "He restored independence, confidence, and hope. He showed me that even small acts of kindness can change a life forever." Jake swallowed hard, emotions welling up. He glanced at Emily, remembering her arrival at the garage, her struggles, and the transformation they had achieved together. The presenter handed him a sleek award, its polished surface reflecting the lights around the rooftop. "For innovation, compassion, and dedication," the plaque read. Jake held it carefully, feeling its weight in his hands. He realized that his craftsmanship, attention to detail, and willingness to help had been recognized far beyond the garage. Cameras clicked and flashes went off as reporters asked questions. Jake answered modestly, emphasizing that the credit belonged to collaboration, determination, and, most importantly, to Emily for trusting him with her needs. The applause was thunderous, yet he remained humble. After the ceremony, the gala continued with music, laughter, and conversations that felt almost surreal to Jake. Guests were curious about the custom wheelchair, admiring the craftsmanship and design. Emily demonstrated its movement, rolling gracefully across the polished floor. Jake explained the mechanics in simple terms, highlighting the thought behind each feature. He noticed that people weren't just impressed by the technology. They were touched by the story of care, dedication, and empowerment. It was a reminder that innovation without purpose had little meaning, and that true ingenuity combined skill with compassion. As the night progressed, Emily whispered to Jake, "You didn't just build a wheelchair, you built my life back. You gave me freedom, independence, and confidence I never thought I'd have." Jake smiled quietly, moved beyond words. He reflected on the journey, the long hours in the garage, the sketches, the testing, the laughter, and the challenges. Every moment had led to this. The gala wasn't just recognition for his work, it was validation of the impact a single person could make when they combined talent with heart. Emily's joy was his true reward. Later, as the city lights shimmered, across the rooftops, Jake stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The cool evening wind carried a sense of accomplishment. He thought of Emily, flying across the skies in her private jet weeks earlier, now confidently moving through life without limits. His work had transcended metal and mechanics. It had become a story of human resilience, hope, and transformation. Jake understood that real success wasn't measured in money or fame, but in the lives you touch and the independence you help others reclaim. Before leaving, Jake and Emily shared a quiet moment overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. "Thank you for believing in me," she said softly. Jake shook his head, smiling. "No, thank you for letting me help," he replied. The city below hummed with life, a reminder that everyone had a story, and sometimes a single act of kindness could alter the course of someone's journey. Jake realized that in helping Emily, he had also discovered his own purpose and the immense satisfaction of truly making a difference. As the gala ended and the guests began to depart, Emily wheeled herself beside Jake, ready to return to her world of business and family. She had regained confidence, dignity, and a renewed sense of self, all made possible by a mechanic who cared. Jake, once just a man in a small garage, felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He knew that moments like this were rare, precious, and life-changing. The night wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a lifetime of impact, inspiration, and hope for both of them. Finally, Jake returned to his quiet garage the next morning, holding the award and reflecting on the journey. The tools, Grease and engines surrounded him as they always had, yet he felt different. He had learned that true craftsmanship wasn't just about fixing machines. It was about restoring lives. The memory of Emily's smile, her independence and her gratitude lingered in his mind, a lasting testament to the power of skill, compassion, and human connection. In that moment, Jake understood that one person's effort could ripple across countless lives.